Okay, today we're going to look at proportionality, and if you remember from the past years or from all this time of doing maths, you would know that proportional, anything that is directly proportional to each other, means that if one quantity is increased, then it causes a similar change or similar increase in the other quantity. So at the moment doing linear functions, now we're going kind of back to linear functions. So looking at linear functions, if you look at x and y, for example, those are our two variables that we talk about in linear functions. In linear functions, if you change in any way the x variable, so if you increase the x variable by a factor of 2, then it causes a change or an increase, and the change being an increase of a factor of 2 in the y variable as well. So two quantities are directly proportional to each other. So let's actually highlight that. Two quantities are directly proportional to each other if an increase in one causes a similar increase in the other. So for example, if you buy one packet of chips for $1, then 2 packets of chips will be multiplied by 2, which is $2. Now that was a very simple one. Let's try another one, something that's actually a little bit, not harder, but something where you can see the direct proportion. So let's see. One ice block costs 30 cents. Okay. Then 2 ice block will cost 60 cents. 3 ice block will cost, what do you think? Yep, 90 cents. So 3 ice block will be 90 cents. 7 would be? Think. So if I write this down, okay, so that's the number of ice blocks, and that is the cost. So 1 ice block was 30 cents. 2 was 60 cents. 3 would be, yes, 90 cents. So basically, we're just talking about multiples now. Okay, so the first one was 30 cents. Then if you do, so that was times by 2, so times that by 2, 60 cents. And then 3, so times 1 by 3. And therefore times 30 by 3, 90. So if you get to 7 ice blocks, so this 7 is basically, I'll write in brackets, it's 1 by times 7. So therefore the price of that would be 30 times 7, which is 210 cents or $2.10. Easy? Okay, now we can put this information mathematically, or we can put this information in a table. So if we put all of this information in a table, on our x-axis, which is the top row, we have the number of ice blocks. On the y-axis, which is the bottom row, we have the cost in cents. So you have to be very specific what the unit is. Okay, and it's in cents, because then you would, otherwise you can easily make mistakes. Right, so 3 for 3, it would be 90. For 4, it'll be 120. For 7, it will be 210. How actually, so this is one way of showing that there's two quantities are directly proportional to each other. Now, if you have a look, what is all of them? So all of these quantities of the x variable, which is our number of ice blocks, they're all multiplied by a certain number to give you your y. What are they all multiplied by? Yeah, so all of them are multiplied by 3. No, not by 3. Sorry. By 30. How do we know that? Okay, let's check. So if we do, for the first one, 30 divided by 1, that gives us 30. 60 divided by 2, that gives us 30. 90 divided by 2, that gives us, sorry, not 2. 90 divided by 3, that gives us 30. 210 divided by 3, that gives us 30, not 3, making a mistake again, divide by 7. So that divided by that, that divided by that, that divided by that, that divided by that, all our y values divided by its corresponding x values, it comes up with the same number. Now this same number is called the constant of proportionality. Okay, so if I swipe up, okay, which brings us to the next sentence. The values x and y will always, what do we do? Yes, we divide it. Always divide to give the same answer, and that same answer or rate is known as the constant of proportionality, and sometimes you'll see that as a letter K, small k. Now, if you think, if I draw this, so if I plot this on a pair of axes, so if I draw this on a graph, what I would get, and I'm just going to do a small one over here, that's x, that's y. It's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So right from up to 7. That's 1. And I'm going to go this to 30, 60, 90, 120. I'll just go that far. Don't have much space. So 1 is to 30, which is over there. 2 is to 60, which is over there. 3 is to 90 over there. 4 is to 120. And if I join them, what do you think 0 would be? If I had a 0. 0. 0 ice blocks, 0 cents. So therefore that'll be 0. And if I join all of them, it gives me a straight line. See? So therefore, what we've done over here, to find our k, to find this value of 30, we have taken our y values. This is our y value, divide by, this is our x value. And what does y over x give us? Y over x. Y, which is change in this, in that direction, in the y direction, divide by change in the x direction. Another name for that? Yes. Rise over run, which is the gradient. So therefore, what we can say is that k gives the gradient, or k is basically equal to the gradient. So whatever the gradient is, it tells us the rate at which the change is happening. So the rate at which the price of the ice blocks is changing is 30 cents, which means for every ice block that you get, it increases by 30 cents. Okay? And because they're the same rate, therefore the relationship between the two variables become linear, and that's why we get this straight line over here. Make sense? Okay, let's move on very quickly. So what this means is that how much one variable changes is basically the same proportion. And the equation that we get, so if you have a look at this one for the ice block example, so we had B as the ice blocks, and we had C as the cost. So how did we find our cost? We found our cost by multiplying the number of ice blocks by B. Or actually, I'm just going to rub that off and rewrite it properly. But 30 multiplied by the number of ice blocks, which gives us C is equal to 30B. And that is an equation. And this equation basically gives us the relationship between the number of ice blocks and the cost. So it gives the relationship between B and C, which is the number of ice blocks and the cost. Okay, let's have a quick look at one example. The rule linking the height of a plant over time is given by h is equal to 5t. Okay, so what that means is that the height, this height, it changes over time, and time is in days, by a rate of 5. Okay, Find the height of it should be the plant. That should be plant. Find the height of the plant after 3 days. So therefore, our time is equal to 3. So our height is given by 5t, which is equal to 5 times 3. And that is equal to 15. Now it does say, we need to remember, it does say height is where height is in millimeters, so we need to write down the unit as millimeters. That's after 3 days. Find the time, the next one, find the time for the plant to reach 30 millimeters. So now we know that the height is equal to 30 millimeters. What is the time? Use the same equation, same relationship. Height is equal to 5t. So 30 is equal to, actually rub all of this off and write it to the, does this to the right? Over here. Height is equal to 5t. So 30 is equal to 5t. What do we do to find t? Yep, we divide by 5 on both sides. So therefore that cancels off. And time, 30 divided by 5 is 6 because it's in days. So time is 6 days. What if it reaches 10 centimeters? Now, what's the trick over here? Yeah, it's the unit. Because height is given in millimeters, we first need to convert this to millimeters. So 10 centimeters is equal to how many millimeters? 10 times 10, which is equal to 100 millimeters. And then do the same thing. Height is equal to 5t. So 100 is equal to 5t. Divide by 5 on both sides. Divide by 5 on both sides. And time 100 divided by 5 is 20. So 20 days. Okay, so now that we've got that information, that's one thing that you'll need to do. When the equation is given and you need to work out, once one variable is given, you need to calculate the other variable. Now let's complete this table. Okay, so for 0 days, 0 height. For 1 day, so let's try this. Height is equal to 5t. So 5 times 1, which is 5. 1 day, it's 5. For 2 days, so this is when it's 1, this is when it's 2. 5 times 2, which is equal to 10. So this is equal to 10. And so forth. That's 15. And 5 fours is 20. Now let's plot that. Same information, all of that information on the table. Let's plot this on the graph. Okay. Always time goes onto our x-axis. And that's the height, which goes onto our y-axis. And if I goes, say that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'll say that is 5, 10, 15, 20. Let's plot this. 0, 0. Just use a different color. 0, 0, 1, 5. This is all from this table over here. And 2, 10, 2, 10, 3, 15, 3, where is it, 3, 15, and then 4, 20. Just going to use a line because it just gives us a better, nice straight line. Oh, wrong place. Let's do this again. And just draw a straight line, joining all the points. There you go. Okay, that gives us the straight line, and we can write down our equation as h is equal to